if you're training, you need protein to recover. That's number one, because let's say you don't care about gaining lean mass, you don't care about bodybuilding, you still need to recover from training. And the way to do that is from dietary protein. It's not from carbohydrates. Skeletal muscle cells would undergo normal turnover just from, breaking down and building up. You repair new cells. The other thing is there's always exercise-induced damage. So you're going to damage skeletal muscle fibers every time you train. To repair that, you need to get that added protein. Consuming protein in lieu of consuming carbs or fat probably results in better body composition in the long run. It may not increase lean body mass, but it seems to promote a decrement in fat mass. And maybe the mechanism for that is threefold. One, we know the thermic effect of protein is high. Two, in some people, I don't know about all, but in some people it does seem to suppress appetite, so you may end up eating less calories throughout the day. And the third one is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So maybe you end up just burning more calories throughout the day. And it's weird, I've heard the argument that if you're eating all that protein, you're going to end up producing this large amount of glucose. Yet we have measured in some of these guys that are consuming, gargantuan amounts of protein, their resting plasma glucose is fine. There's no evidence that there's this enormous glucose output from the protein they're consuming. If anything, the quote excess protein would just be oxidized as fuel. Prehistoric humans, they were basically nomadic till about 10,000 years ago. So they're basically looking for food every day. It's like, I need to eat. You can't subsist on figs and berries. It's just not enough calories. So where do humans get calories from? The most calorically dense food is from animals. It's the meat and the organs, which is basically protein and fat. So imagine you literally have not consumed any food or not many calories for a day, maybe 2 days, and you finally hunted down an animal. You're going to be hungry as hell. So imagine if, one, there was a limit to how much protein you could eat in one sitting. Here you are, you haven't eaten for 24 hours. And so your caveman buddy's telling you, you know what? 30 grams, that's all you can have. And then you got to wait, 4 hours and get 30 more grams. I'm thinking, it's got to be the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You would starve to death. And then, so I think there's two ways to look at it, evolution and then just looking at data. The data is just not there to show that it causes harm to otherwise healthy, exercising people. Even my own kids, I have twin daughters, they're freshmen in college. Even they know to get a gram per pound or 2.2 grams per kilo. We've DEXed probably 300 athletes in the last 2 years. And it's interesting, the guys and girls who have the highest bone mineral density, well, the guys tend to be fighters or football players. What do they have in common? It's impact. Now, most of us can't play football. We can't fight. It'd be kind of goofy. So what do? Best thing to do is you run, you lift, or something that's impact. And for lower extremity, running is probably more impactful than lifting because you're not lifting that long. And for the upper extremity, probably, lifting would be the most impactful thing you can do. And there's just so many reasons why, particularly for exercise trained people, why you need to eat at least, 2.2 grams per kilo. But even people in my field, in sports science, more the clinical nutrition side, they can't believe that I recommend this amount. And I tell them, this is what I had my kids doing when they were little. I'm like, I wanted them to eat all this protein. And what's funny is now they recognize it and they comment on how some of their friends, they barely touch protein because they were told it's bad for you. And I'm like, people just make stuff up. But I guess that's why this field is interesting, because you're dealing with people who just make stuff up.